with our scavenger hunt. And that's okay. As a teacher, sometimes it's okay to take times to do that and just to take that little break. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to share another feature with you. If you're using Zoom or if you're using Google Classroom or other options, there's different types of whiteboard features that are out there that you can have kids collaborating on. And one of the things that you can do as a teacher to up that engagement right off the bat is to have the kids collaborate on a whiteboard, have them get on board on the whiteboard feature. And so I'm actually going to stop the share of that screen. I'm going to share this whiteboard. And now I'm going to allow you guys to.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the reason we're using this for engagement is because your kids can actually annotate straight onto your screen using this whiteboard. So if you guys wiggle your mouse up there where it says you are viewing Ella Bowling's screen, it says view options. If you go down, there will be an annotate, and you can literally draw right onto Ella's screen here.
See, I'm out. This is awesome. We're getting all kinds of stuff.
And you can use text boxes, the draw.
I'm waiting for the like expert artist to like draw something really fun.
Yeah.
I am not an artist by any means.
If your kids have Chromebooks, though, they can't annotate on the screen. Only kids who are not on Chromebooks could do this.
Oh, really?
So I'm on a Chromebook, so I can't do this.
So when you go up there, Jody, since you're on a Chromebook, can you select view options? Do you have anything there?
I have original size and enter full screen.
Yeah, it's true. It's up in Columbus, none of their Chromebooks can do it. So we actually use Jamboard to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's another option. So if you can't do the whiteboard on Zoom or on Google Classroom, then or on Google Meets, then that is definitely your next best option. So I'm going to stop the share of our beautiful artwork there.
OneNote is what we use, and Whiteboard for those of us that are Microsoft.
Those are all, yeah, I like that too. That we use that with our stuff here at the university because we're all Microsoft based stuff here. That was a good one. All right. Now we're going to dive into the meat of the matter today. Now that we're done playing. All right. So we're going to go to this Padlet. If I get myself to go back here. And you guys are going to share some resources and we're going to talk about them. Some things that you've been using or things that work with you that really work with your kids. What has been working so far to help your kids stay engaged? And what has been like a really great tool to help keep engagement up in your classroom? So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And then it should bring you to this little right here. I'll share the screen so you can see it. And then I want you guys to start typing and adding some of the things that you've been using. And if you feel like you want to unmute yourself and kind of explain what you're adding or just give us some ideas, feel free to do that. That's totally fine. I'm on the wrong screen. Hold on. Stop. There we go.
Okay, so I've never used Padlet. How do I write on it?
All right, so Padlet, I like it. Let me go to share that so you can see here. All right, so on Padlet, for those of you guys who might be new to it, you can just, there's a little plus down here in the corner. You can add a post, and from there, it's gonna let you type like whatever the title of your resource that you guys are sharing is, and you can move your resource around once you figure out where you want to put it at.
Can you show that plus sign again? Like I'm not seeing that on here.
On mine,
Right-hand corner on mine.
it's right at the bottom corner on mine, like on the right side.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, right here.
I see it now. Okay.
And then you can move these little, you can move the boxes around. so you can see. I'm gonna stop the share so you guys can.
Well,
Yeah, if you have trouble adding things, you can always just type it in the chat if you want to, but I'd love to have a great compilation here. And you, it looks like you guys are adding some fabulous things.
If
Okay, so Ella, I'm sure I'm missing something, but like I don't have Padlet in front of me now. I have the Zoom meeting, but I don't know if you brought that up and like I don't know, but or do I need to click a link to get to that?
Yeah, I put the link in the chat.
Oh, I just missed that. I'm sorry. Okay.
you're good. If you can't see the little plus sign in the bottom, if you just double click the screen, it should let you add that way as well.
okay, how do you, I've got it. Okay, wait a minute. There it goes. I don't know if you can see mine or not. There it goes.
Whoever just posted that, I love the hidden object. That is awesome. Kahoot. Yep, I'm seeing a lot of that. These are fun to read as they're popping up.
I know, I love it. You can do this with your kids too. We showed you guys last week in the activity. There's all kinds of ways to incorporate Padlet. Obviously, it's a great resource in itself, just because it's very user friendly. You can play around with it as a teacher and determine like which style of Padlet you want to make or how you want kids to interact with it. You can have them interacting by plussing and hearting the different posts that are coming on. You can leave it anonymous if you want. You can have them put their name. Does anybody want to talk or speak to the resources that they're sharing? I'm loving seeing these.
Sorry, I was busy reading them. Ms. Barry, are you having trouble finding the Padlet? You might need to click again in the chat on Ella's link. If you have to do it that way, that's fine.
I use Flipgrid each week. I could talk about it if you want me to.
Absolutely, Christy.
Well, I always make a video lesson because I'm a special area and it's considered optional for kids to attend. And so my lesson is posted on our Google site each week. And so following whatever my lesson might be, whether it's demonstrations or experiments, I always have kids do a Flipgrid or a Pear Deck just to get some interaction and find out what they took from it. The nice thing about Flipgrid especially is that you can make topics and you can organize by grade level if you want to. And it's pretty easy to just to give feedback, and it emails you if you want it to when you get a student who has made a video, so you don't, it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. So I appreciate that. And it makes it real easy to download their video if you need evidence for something. So like right now, our GT teacher was asking for, recommendations for gifted and talented and primary talent pool. And so I could easily download those videos and put them on Google Drive for her as evidence.
I like it. That's perfect.
I didn't realize my
Anyone
videos-
else want to talk about their resources?
I just do like I don't know that's a resource, but just for engagement, like at the beginning of class, I use the polling feature on Zoom, and I do a would you rather each week. Just
Yeah.
something simple to get them like into it. And then we spend, like 5 minutes, like who wants to share why you picked what you picked. And then it's also practicing reading graphs and things like that. But it's just a quick engage, and it's already in the tools we're using.
That's
And
awesome.
I could add to that. My thing is face mute. I put that on there, but sorry, I just realized my video's off. And it's kind of like would you rather, but you tell everybody turn their video off, and they get real excited because they like that. And then you say turn your video on if if you have a cat, then whoever has a cat turns their video on. Then turn your video back off. Turn your video on if you have a dog. Turn it back. Turn your video on if you got a new pair of shoes this year. So, and then if you do that 5 or 6 times, then the nice thing is you can like do something really like easy at the end, like turn your video on if you've ever passed a test, and all their videos on. You're like, great, let's start class now, because all their videos are on. So it's one of the few ways I've gotten people to turn on videos who never turn on their video. So
That is fantastic, because that's so, especially our upper level grades, like our middle school and high school kids. That's what I hear the most from teachers, is that they don't want to turn their videos on. They don't want to talk. How do we get them to talk? So you guys are giving some fabulous ideas about what's going on. I love this.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually love that idea. That's awesome.
Another tool that
What was really funny is there was a kid that told me he had to go get a haircut because he was going to have to be on these meets. Yeah, so they're just that self-conscious.
Oh, it's awful. My son would be that person, because he looks like, I told him if I didn't take him to get a haircut this week, he's not going back out in public until he does, because it's bad. It's really bad. He's 10, but I just shared another resource called Slido, and it interacts with your Google Slides. It's a polling feature that you can integrate into Google Slides. So if you're using Google Slides a lot, this is a great little add-on that you can get. And as a teacher, you can create these little polls. The one I posted today is just a random one, just that typical question. If you were sent to a desert island, which famous person would you bring along? And so the way that you get on there is you go to that website, and I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see how to get on it if you're not already there. And I put the link in the chat there. There we go. So you enter your event code, super easy. It could work on smartphones, it works on tablets, it works on computers. And then you just participate into the little poll. So let's see who you guys would bring along to the famous person you'd want to bring to the desert island. I see Amber's thinking. She's thinking hard about who she's going to bring.
I already know, man. It'd be you. You know how to survive. That's what I need. You would take care of all the scary things for me. It would definitely be you. Do they have to be alive? No, they don't have to be alive.
No, it can be whoever you want. We can bring them back from the dead. And the cool thing, a lot of these are anonymous. And so if you have those kids that are self-conscious about answering in front of their peers, this is a great way to kind of just get a feel for the class. And like I said, these integrate very easily with Google Slides. You can add the live polls directly to your slide. It actually builds it right in. And so it allows you to see in real time there on your slide, the percentages or the poll or the word cloud, however you set it up in terms of what it looks like. If you guys aren't seeing the poll yet, it's great. And
MacGyver. Oh, this is great. Bill Nye. Chrissy, no, you shouldn't need an account. You just type
No, you
in
don't have to have any
code
kind of account. Just type the code and then answer.
with Wilson. Tom Hanks with Wilson. That might be my favorite one so far.
Yeah, I see it now. At first, I did not see where you could put the code, but finally I found it.
Someone's bringing Jesus back. Yeah. Miranda Lambert.
These are all fabulous. I like it.
Stop.
We have a lot of people going to bring Mr. Rogers and Bill Nye.
I can't believe Tom Hanks got more than one though. That's pretty.
That says a lot about the people that, yeah, you can add.
Yeah,
can
Lauren,
add
like a word cloud.
person if you want. Yes, Lauren, you are right. If it's larger, it's been said more than one time.
This is great.
These are fabulous. Look at all these people. Somebody's going to bring Santa. It is making a Wordle.
Yep. So fun.
So you can set these up however you want to do it. I just set this one up like a word cloud just for our purposes. You can also do questions where it will answer in percentages, and you could actually have kids surveying others, and it presents live data right there on the screen in front of them. That takes a little time. You just have to play around with it. But you can see there's on my screen now, there is the slides add-on that you can download if you are going to incorporate this. To get the account was, I just signed up for it. It didn't cost me. It was free. And I'm sure there's like a paid version. They always offer those, but the free version worked fine for me to play around with it. I actually saw this in one of my NSTA board meetings, and we were using Slido to kind of go over some data and look at some information about things that we were working on. And I was like, that's really cool. I wonder if that would work with our teachers. And it does. One of the teachers there said how they were actually incorporating it into their lessons. And so they actually have a great little video here that tells you exactly how to do it in Google Slides. And so it's super easy, very easily to integrate into the work that you guys are doing in the classroom with kids, especially on Google Slides. So that was just another little tool feature I wanted to make sure that we shared out there so that you guys had access to it. So Lauren, I love that idea that it could be a great way to summarize a unit and see which ones students remember most. That's fantastic. You can use it for vocabulary too. I've seen a lot of the teacher that shared it with us, she was actually using it as part of the vocabulary that the students were responsible for. She was a fifth grade teacher, so she taught both science and reading. And so it was, she's really cool. She incorporates all of her reading is based on the science that they're teaching. And so it's really neat to kind of see how she meshes that together. And I love stealing her ideas and her resources. So the next resource that we're going to talk about in terms of engagement is utilizing Google Drawings. And if you haven't started following Matt Miller with Ditch That Textbook yet, give me a thumbs up on the screen if you guys know who Matt Miller is. There's little, if you want to use the reactions, that's fine. If you want to.
Yeah, a few of you know. That's awesome.
That's good. Yeah. So he is amazing. I actually got to meet him a few years ago at a conference back when I was teaching. I got to go to ISTE, and he was actually there, and I got to meet him and go to his session and drool over all the cool stuff that he had to share with us. But the Ditch That Textbook site, I'm going to pull it up for you guys. I'm going to put it into the chat box there as I pull this up. But using Google Drawings to create these interactive graphic organizers has become a great way to get kids invested and involved in what they're doing. Let me go back to this so you guys can see. So the great thing about Matt's blog is that a lot of the stuff that they add to this, especially a lot of the Google ideas, you see there's a big thing up here that says Google ideas. A lot of these are free for you to download and utilize as a classroom teacher in your classroom. So you can't beat that, honest to goodness. I mean, all of these Google Drawing graphic organizers are things that you can add directly to a Google Slides and have kids annotate on there. You can also, if you have the ability to let kids annotate, whether if you're fortunate and can do that, you can actually bring it up live on the screen and let kids annotate in that sense. But a lot of these are just great templates where you can take them from the Google Drawing piece and then pull them into whatever you're going to use them in, whether that would be a Google document or a Google Slides file. Those all work. They're just fantastic, and they're easily modified for your own needs in terms of what you're going to ask. Has anyone used any of these templates? The Google Drawing graphic organizers? Anyone had any experiences with those? No one? So that link is there, that ditch that textbook. So if you're not familiar with it, you've now learned this is going to suck you in, and you're going to be there all night looking at these graphic organizers and ways that you can dive into getting kids more invested and excited and engaged about the work that you're doing. So on the Google Ideas piece, I know a lot of us are using Chromebooks, and when we're using Chromebooks, obviously Google's right there, and we all have to become very familiar with that G Suite of tools. And the G Suite, if you look on Matt's page here, there's actually a guide, a free ebook that you can download, and has 101 ways to get rid of textbooks and stuff by using the Google Suite and by using all of those tools that we have built into our Chromebook. And the thing that I like most is if you scroll on down, it takes you to these different categories, and it shows you as a classroom teacher, well, what are some ways that I can use Google Slides in the classroom? And so you click on that, it's going to bring you to this resource, which is probably my favorite thing that I found in the most recent months while we were going through all of this, trying to figure out virtual learning and how do we make it work on a large scale basis. Because as teachers, a lot of us have done it kind of in small pilots or in silos, and we've kind of tested the waters, but we've never seen it on this big, massive, broad platform. And so this has become a great tool. And I've shared this a lot with teachers. The categories that they have for using slides are all right here. And so for those of you guys that are teaching with Google Classroom, these will integrate very nicely with your work. If you go to the gamification, these are just little game templates that are ready to go, free for you to use as a classroom teacher. It tells you how to do it. It gives you the Google Slides that you need to set up, and it tells you exactly what you have to have. And so all these are very easy. If you just follow the instructions, it's really, really, really simple. So it's not going to be hard for you to incorporate that at all. Another tool that I really liked, and I'm going to scroll back up to it, I'm trying not to make you guys sick, is using this TikTok feature. And I blew Amber away with this today.
Yeah, so I hadn't seen this one, and I was worshiping Ella today because I just think it was so cool.
So our middle school and high school kids, and even probably some of our elementary school kids, they're probably obsessed with TikTok. And we probably have teachers that are obsessed with TikTok, maybe. I don't know. I mean, adults really don't do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we do.
So there's actually all kinds of cool things on TikTok, though, that you can learn from. It's educational, or at least I like to tell myself that. But the cool thing is it has this adorable little TikTok Google Slides template that as a teacher, when you open it, you don't have to request to access it, but you just make yourself a cute little copy, just like I'm doing. And then when it brings it up like you're looking at the video on your phone. It's going to tell you exactly what to do. And so basically you can add pictures, you can add video, and it creates this little TikTok template. And the kids they just love this. They think it's really cool. And you could have them make TikTok videos on the Google Slides. You can integrate it with Flipgrid if you wanted to and use their Flipgrid videos to put them in here. But these are just perfect ways to get kids interacting with the content. And all of these are very customizable. You can do what you want to with it. As a teacher, if these are little transparent boxes that you just slide the video behind or slide the pictures behind, and then you can have them for different purposes. So I just thought this was absolutely adorable and a great way to I know when I was teaching middle school, this would have been a big thing because middle schoolers are creatures of like following trends, and they would have jumped right on this. And so this would have been a way for me to get those kids engaged and excited about doing some cool science. Has anyone been using any of those templates? No? Oh
Guys,
my
how
gosh.
cool is that? Your
Oh,
kids
yeah.
will flip out.
Yeah.
It is
So
so neat.
I'm gonna go back to my share screen so I can show you some of the other things, but I know you guys are all on there now too. So I'm gonna put that link into the chat box for you. So you can just suck yourself in. Brian, I don't have the video on there. For some reason, it did not save it. When I fixed it on Google Drive, I don't know what I did to it. I messed it up.
I was
So
gonna
I
say,
don't have,
one.
yeah, we could have you guys make one, but I don't want to take your time. I want to make sure you get to see all the resources. So the other thing that I really liked was some of just the Google Classroom features, where if you're new to this, or if you have new teachers coming on board, I know even in the middle of the year, a lot of times we have new hires. And I always think about our college kids that are graduating in December. I was one of those. I was a December grad, and starting middle of the year. If you are getting some of these new people right off the bat and they haven't had a lot of exposure to Google Classroom and virtual learning, because honestly, they haven't. I know Amber and I work with the College of Ed folks here. The kids that we're working with, many of them, they don't get this exposure during their practicum times unless they're in student teaching. They really don't see a lot of this. And so this is going to be a resource that if you're working with these young people that are just getting started and they're new to this, this is a great place to go to, because it has basic tutorials on the ins and outs of Google Classroom. It has what can you do even more with it. So it tells you, if you're a Google Classroom guru, this tells you even more stuff that you can do within the classroom that you're doing with your kids. The Google Forms piece is another one that I really like, because I love Google Forms. I think they're just the handiest thing ever. They're handier than a shirt pocket, I would say, just because you can do so much with them. I love them better than Qualtrics. And we have Qualtrics here at the university, and they make us use that for all of our surveys and all of our data collection pieces. And I hate it. I hate Qualtrics. I do not like it. It's not user friendly. It's not pretty. And it doesn't make me get excited about data. Whereas Google Class or Google Forms, I love it. I love the magic that I can do with that. And so as a classroom teacher, even I was on the cusp of when all of this was becoming very popular when I actually left the classroom in 2016. And I was going to be the guinea pig, the pilot for all of this, because I kind of piloted it my last year teaching. And we actually did all of our assessments on Google Forms and had kids submitting things that way. And I just love it. I love Google Forms. I think it's a great way to collect data and to be able to look at data. Oh, we Teams, yes. So Teams, you have some similar things on some similar features. Just because you're using Microsoft Teams, you can still utilize that Google suite of tools like Google Forms and stuff. Those integrate very easily. I force it upon my group here at NKU in our Teams work. I make them use Google Forms.
Ella and I are Google people, but our whole department that we work with, they work in teams. So we like to butt heads. It's fun.
Yeah, it's okay though. We make it work. So those are all the Google stuff from Ditch That Textbook. And I know you guys are going to be overwhelmed and like diving into that here in a moment, which I see your eyes. You're already like, you're into it. You're like, hey, I can use this template tomorrow. I'm going to work on this lesson tonight. So that's just another great little tool. The other thing that we're going to dive into to keep kids engaged are this idea of digital choice boards. And I know many of you may already be utilizing choice boards with your kids, but if you're not, I pulled up some templates that you can definitely utilize. The great thing about choice boards, even if you're on Teams, you can do this in a Google Doc, or you can do this in a Microsoft document as well, and it will do the same thing. But I like Google just because it's kid friendly, and that's just what I'm comfortable with. So I talk about Google a lot versus the Microsoft platform, but it can be utilized in there. So a couple of the templates, the way choice boards work is that it's basically like a bingo board. We were using these years ago. Teachers use these. I know we did, because when I was student teaching, this was a popular thing. And that's been 15 or 20 years ago. And you would give kids the piece of paper. They would have to pick out different topics. At that point in time, it was a great way for us to differentiate for our gifted and talented kids, or at least that's what they told me when I was teaching, that, hey, here's how we differentiate for our GT kids. We can give them these boards, these pieces of paper, and they can pick different activities to meet their learning needs. and they'll naturally gravitate what challenges them. Well, that's not true. They don't always gravitate towards what challenges them. A lot of the times they're middle schoolers, they're going to gravitate towards what's easy. And so I had to get creative in terms of how I did my choice boards and make students select from different categories so that they were getting to hit on those different learning styles and really to be able to build upon that. This first one comes from a great little blog. If you don't follow it, it's called Shake Up Learning. I love her blog. I love her podcast that she has. So she has the podcast, the Google Teacher Podcast, which is really good. So if you're a podcast listener, that one is excellent. And it's a great one just to download and listen to if you're on your way to school, or if you're trying to get some ideas for planning lessons and just to kind of shake up what you're doing. Her podcast is excellent. So this tic-tac-toe choice board is one that she shared back in the spring. And I found this one and I shared it with some of the teachers that we were working with. And I said, look at this, is this going to work? And they were like, oh my gosh, this is totally going to work, because what it does, let me pull it up here, is it allows kids to kind of choose and navigate their own learning. So it gives them different activities to complete. As a teacher, you want kids to make a tic-tac-toe. And so they're going to have to do 3 in a row, whether it's up, across, or vertical, or diagonal. And so everyone has to do number 5. And so basically you make a copy of this, you type your instructions on the pages, and then the kids get to actually go to those pages. They can click on the hyperlinks and it takes them to it, and they do those different activities. And so they complete them, and then they can turn this in as an assignment to you. You can actually set this as an assignment in Google Classroom, and then they turn it in. And so it's all hyperlinked, ready to go. And when I send you guys the copy of today's PowerPoint, those links are in there. And so all you have to do is just make yourself a copy, and then you can start editing and go right at it. The hyperlinks and stuff are already good to go. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out, hey, which block goes to which slide. It's already done for you. You just have to get on there and type it and put on what you want kids to do on each of the things. So that's what I liked best about this one. The other choice board comes from right here. This is one that's kind of it's from Nick's Picks. He does another like teacher guru that does a lot of the tech stuff that some of the ISTE groups that I'm in, he has shared a lot of really cool stuff. The Google or the choice board he shared is actually one that's in just Google Docs versus slides. And the way that this one works, as a teacher, you have total control over this one. So you can put pictures, you can put text, you can put there's drop down features if you want to do that. You can change your hyperlinks and stuff. So this is just one that is just very, very editable, and it's very basic, but as a teacher, you could really spruce this up and make it very, very interactive. It's not as interactive definitely as the Google Slides one that I just showed you, but again, it just depends on what your need is as a classroom teacher. So has anybody been using choice boards with their kids since we've been at home learning?
I did last semester. I haven't used them this year, but last year, yeah, we did a group, the middle school team across the science team across the district. We're P3-8 schools, so we all joined in and did choice boards together as a district. So that was fun.
I like that. I like that. That's a great way to get everybody on board. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I made one for Space Week. It was, I think, the first week in October. And it happened to be right after my daughter had her science experiment launched to the International Space Station. So it was one of the choices they could watch that launch. The one I recorded, and then the one that NASA recorded. And then the theme this year was about satellites. So I had all different activities about the International Space Station. And the kids absolutely loved the tour of the International Space Station. I would get emails from parents telling me that their child watched it 2 and 3 times, and they had all kinds of questions. So now I'm looking to astronauts to help me answer all those questions.
Well, that'll be awesome. So Lauren shared that these are great for backup subplans. Absolutely they are. So even when I was a teacher, this was a great thing to have on hand, especially in your emergency subfolder, where you could just say, hey, pass this out. Kids have to pick 3 of these and do them today. So that's another little tool. The next thing on the screen here are our Bitmoji classrooms and editing them with Kapwing. So Kapwing, it originally was not designed for Bitmoji classrooms by any means, but it was actually designed as kind of a graphic editing or graphic design, easy, like low cost, like open source type software that folks could use online to edit different things. And there's all kinds of different collections within it, but you can sign on with your Google account. Just sign in with mine so you guys can see it. We're gonna make this one. So if you're not familiar with the Bitmoji classrooms, I know several of our districts, and I've seen lots of teachers themselves independently have these just amazing Bitmoji classroom templates already made. And the Bitmoji Craze group on Facebook, yeah, those people, they are on it. And so this is an easy way to edit it and to add some cool things and cool features. This is just a free version. So I wanted to make sure you guys saw this. So what are you guys that have been using Bitmojis and the Bitmoji classrooms? What are some things that you all are doing?
Do you want me to show them the live one first so they can see it? Okay, you have to stop sharing and I'll share mine. So I'm not gonna lie, I stalk my daughter's Google Classroom. It's probably not good, not healthy, but I do it because her teachers are amazing. And so I'm actually going to show you her Google Classroom because a lot of her teachers have, a lot of her teachers have Bitmoji Classroom set up. So this is her STEAM class right here. And every single week, you can see every week her STEAM teacher updates her Bitmoji Classroom. So I'm just going to click on a random one just so you can see it. But when the kids come in, the first thing they do is they click on the little hello, and this is how she will take attendance every day. And then these robots here have hyperlinks on them. So sometimes they're videos, sometimes they're games, projects, whatever she has them doing for the week. It's all hyperlinked right here in her classroom and takes them exactly where they need to go. And then there's always a link for signing out with either a formative assessment or anything like that that she puts on them. So this is just a really, really neat interactive way. So I'll show you one of them. So they were learning about what engineers do this week, and it brought them right to their little PowerPoint that they had that week. So that's what a Bitmoji classroom would look like to a student if you were coming in to see a live one. And then Ella will show you actually how to get yours. The mindfulness room, yeah, that's really cool.
So if you're a new teacher, definitely go, if you're new to Bitmojis and you haven't used them a whole lot, the Bitmoji group on Facebook is going to be a go-to place. So you just have to search, and I'll put the link in our Facebook group that's on there. So I sent you guys an email. If you're not on Facebook, that's fine. But we had a lot of teachers back last year and the year before saying, hey, we're all on Facebook. This is a way to collaborate because we're on there anyways. So we might as well make it work related. I don't want to start my video. Hold on. Sorry, Amber.
What's wrong?
Nothing. You asked me to start my video.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. But anyways, if you're not on there, you need to get a Bitmoji account. And so I'm going to show you. There's actually a Chrome add-on for Bitmojis. So you can get the app on your phone, on your smartphone, and then it makes you into a cute little cartoon character. And I can see, we've already got one. Jimmy down here is already a Bitmoji. He's already got his person up there. And so the Chrome add-on is just super handy to have on hand, especially if you're going to use it in the sense where you're creating different Bitmoji classroom forms. Let me pull this. I'm trying to get my screen to share and it's not letting me. Where's it at? There it is. All right. So up here in the corner, you can see I've got there's my little add-on right there. And so I click on that and it brings up all of my little Bitmojis. I need to make my hair longer since the COVID shut down. It's gotten a little longer. So I need to update my look. You can customize yourself in terms of trying to make it look as much like you as possible in a cartoon world. And then as a teacher, you can decide what kind of Bitmojis you want to put in here. So you can add different images. You can hyperlink these different things that you have. You can put different things in. All of these are just, it just starts from a blank canvas. As you can see, all of these are totally editable, and you can do this your own way. You can find different pictures online and bring them in. You can animate them and make them move. There's just 1,000 different things that you can have it do. You can put music in it if you really want, if you want some audio. Music teachers, I had a music teacher friend. She actually had kids listening to different pieces of music on her Bitmoji classroom because she was able to incorporate different audio clips, which is a super easy way to get kids invested and engaged in the content in that sense. As a science teacher, I saw another science teacher. She had a big giant screen TV over here, and she had different video clips that the kids would watch based on the investigation that they were going to be doing or the hands-on lab. She even had videos of herself performing like just basic chemistry demos with the kids, and so that they could see them, whereas they weren't necessarily going to be able to see them in person, but it's a different way to do that. So I'm looking, I'm not pausing, I'm looking at the chat. So this is called Capwing. I'm gonna pull this back up here. Oops, wrong one. All right, so I'll put this into the chat box so you guys can see it. This is just the virtual classroom template from there that will let you edit it. So for those of you guys that were asking, it's in the chat if you want to go to that link, and it will let you play around with it. And I know some of you are saying that, oh, I've got this template or I found this template. Share those if you want. Danielle brought up a good point that a lot of times it will block your Bitmoji stuff at school and you have to do a lot of it at home. I find issues with that too, especially if I'm working at the university. Some things are blocked and I can't really do as much. So Courtney is sharing some cool stuff in the chat now on the Bitmojis for those of you guys who are asking about that. So it's just another way to get your kids kind of excited about what you're doing. It just kind of makes it novel for them to get engaged with it. The other tool is Two Boys and a Dad. This is a totally open source free template that you can get from his website. But I wanted to make sure that you guys were able to see it and have access to it right off the bat without having to dive through the website itself. But these are just some basic student engagement slides and games that you can have your kids to dive into and play with. And one of the ways is to do shout outs or guess who or would you rather. I know some of you were talking about that you do that right at the beginning of the class. This is a great way to get kids engaged right off the bat. And these are just some little templates that you can use to do that. So you can give shout outs to kids each week if you wanted to do that. You could give birthday shout outs, give shout outs for excellent attendance, like, oh, who's been on our Google Meets all week long? Who's been in attendance? All kinds of different things that you could do with the shout outs. And there's different templates on here that you can play with and do what you want to with them. I thought they were just cute and I liked them. The Guess Who is a fun little game. You can do this and have a spotlight a kid or two each week if you wanted to do this. And you can do this weekly if you want. So send the email to the parents, request some information to use it and use their kid in the game. Kids absolutely love this though. And then they send in some digital pictures and then block out the faces with emojis and then have kids try to guess who it is. And so you can add facts or information about the kid. The kid could like give you some of their favorite colors, or maybe if they have a dog or a cat, or if they have any hobbies, and then play a little guess who game with the kids. And the kids like being the spotlight every now and then. Some kids wouldn't. There's some out there that wouldn't like that, but most of the time the kids are going to be all over this, where they get to have a chance to have their name in the spotlight for the little guess who game. The Fact or Fiction is just a cool little game where you can think about facts that are correct versus not correct, and the students have to guess it out. This is all set up for you, ready to go. And then the Would You Rather, there's actually a link on here where you can use Jamboard, or you can up Padlet, or whatever tool you prefer, and have the kids respond to that. And so that's all on there for you as well. And so these are just little templates that I wanted to make sure that you guys had access to if this was something that you wanted to incorporate. Now, the biggest thing that we think about with engagement, and especially with teachers, is you can't forget to breathe. I know that we are overwhelmed beyond overwhelmed at this point with the amount of information that's being thrown at us, with the amount of change that we're all having to endure, with the amount of content that we're trying to figure out on our own before we try to teach our kids. And so there's a Swedish word that's called fika that talks about coffee and cake break. And in Sweden, it's a lot more than that. It's actually a break from where you just kind of put everything aside. So you put that smartphone down, you put the computer away. I'm the world's worst to not do that. Amber will vouch for that. I really am. And then you just take a break. So take some time and enjoy a virtual coffee time with some friends. If you can't get together in person, then do it in an online event. Amber and I this spring, we set up Fridays where we would get online and had virtual coffee breaks with teachers every Friday, so that teachers could just get online and they could vent, they could talk, they could just have fun with each other. And so you could do this with your kids. Have a hot cocoa party with your kids on a Friday and say, hey, everybody put your PJs on, bring a cup of hot cocoa or whatever you like, and we're just going to talk about what's going on, how things have been. And so take time to step away. Breaks are good, and it's important to build that in, because when we're thinking about learning online and learning in a virtual setting, the amount of cognitive load that it takes to process information online versus processing it in person, it's tremendous. It's huge. It's a big strain on our kids. It's a big strain on us. And so we have to keep that in mind at all times when we're thinking about what we're doing online and how we're doing with this virtual learning. So that's what I wanted to make sure that we reiterated at the very end with you guys, is that don't forget to take a break. It's okay to step aside. If it's okay to get overwhelmed, it's okay to get frustrated with all of this. It's new and we're all going to learn about it. We're going to have to figure it out, but don't let it get to you. And that's why I wanted to make sure that we shared this opportunity with you, so that it could be something that you guys build in and think about at the end of the week with your kids. Maybe everybody's had a long week. Everybody's frustrated on Friday. Maybe we need to build in a hot chocolate hour with our kids and just have some fun with them. Put the content away for a little while. Yeah, we've all got a ton of content that we need to cover. I know we're all struggling with that. But Christy said, oh, we should have fika on our last session. We should definitely do that. We're doing that this week in our faculty meeting. Actually, we're putting the agenda away. And so we're doing a virtual gift exchange with our faculty at Sensian. We've all sent each other gifts.
Yep. Secret Santas. We sent, it was
Amazon. We got names, and then we sent each other a little novelty gift, and we're going to open them on Zoom and have a little like happy hour time with each other, just to take a break from all the craziness that we've all dealt with this semester. So I encourage you guys to do that too. Take some time, bring it up, do it as a staff. If you can't get together as a staff, then get together over Zoom or over Google Meets and just have some coffee or have your happy hour and just enjoy each other and let off some steam, because Lord knows you guys need that right now. So I'm going to send you the link with the Google Slides from today. Actually, I'll just put it in the chat box right now so that you guys can actually see it and play with it, but I'm going to email it all out. I'll also email out the recording so that you guys have that. But if you want to, you can feel free to make a copy of today's Google Slides. That way you can do what you want to with them and play with the templates, because I want to make sure that you guys have that as have that resource. I'll also email in the email that I send you all the links and stuff that we talked about, because I know it was a lot, but I wanted to make sure that we shared a ton of stuff with you, just because I know we're all on different pages in terms of, we got kindergarten teachers all the way up to high school teachers. So we wanted to make sure that we shared things that were very broad and stuff that you guys could definitely be utilizing. So next week, we're going to dive back in a little bit more into the sense making side of things when we think about science and STEM, and how do we deal with sense making in a virtual situation. So how do we take it from the in-person face-to-face stuff that we've kind of talked about in our first couple sessions, and then how do we mesh that with all of these cool tools that we've shared today and make it make sense for our kids? How do we get to that point? And so that's what next week's session will be about. If you feel like bringing yourself some hot chocolate or a drink or coffee or whatever you feel like partaking in next week, we will take a break at the end and definitely do that. You guys will also get your certificate for completion next week. For those of you guys that have been on board with us, for those of you guys that have been on board on all the sessions where you emailed me and said, hey, I can't get on, I'm stuck in traffic, or I'm at the doctor's office, or I have COVID, it's okay.